Rock Duck.
Hello. I am speaking out because I am appalled at the current state of politics, as I am sure you are as well. The two-party system was a creation to divide, and I dare anyone to prove me wrong. Our founding fathers, the original people that founded the doctrine that this country is based on, the Constitution, they knew very well the devastation and the negative outcome that a party system would have. Now, everyone keeps talking about our Constitution being outdated. It is not. Our Constitution was written with no parties in mind. Having two parties gained the system. It created a this or that scenario. You can either choose this or you can choose that. And it eliminated any spectrum of common sense. And that's where all of us sit. We all have differences, not just of opinion, but of how we live. Someone obviously living in the mountains in the north is going to think and need different things than someone living on the beaches of Florida. Someone living on the beaches of Florida is even going to need something different and think different than people living on the beaches of California with the cliffs and the different climate. Every area is different, and this is why our founding fathers, with their infinite wisdom, designed a constitution and a unification of states, which, by the way, it was meant to continue adding until our Constitution engulfed the entire planet Earth. Keep that in mind. We already have several territories that are waiting to come into statehood. Everything got hung up in the works once I won't go into who, but the powers that be after World War II created certain institutions, the CIA, the MI6, the Mossad, the KGB. All of these institutions were created as control factors after World War II, as well as with Project Paperclip, bringing it over all the German high thinkers and top brass over to the United States to continue what they were doing, and that ended up becoming NASA, and eventually after that we went supposedly to the moon under John F. Kennedy's leadership. So you have to understand where things start and where things end up, and my contention is that everything is designed to pit you against someone else. You against me, me against you, by the way the two-party system is. If we had an open system of real representatives in the House and in the Senate, then you would see clearly that they were representing their constituents. As a fact, I propose we enact a law that our representatives have to run some sort of preliminary voting thing on every issue within their constituency to see where their constituents want to do before they're allowed to vote in the Senate or House. The problem we have is we elect these people into the House or into the Senate, which is where all the power lies. It's where all the purse strings lies, and we can get into that later. It's built into the Constitution and the amendments to do that, which is why we had the Second Continental Congress, right? Because our first Constitution did not allow them to tax. It did not allow them to raise revenue, and it did not allow them to have an army or to enforce said doctrine that became our Constitution. So therefore we had the Second Continental Congress to provide these things, which is now why it's ridiculous that they want to defund the police, as the Second Continental Congress was created explicitly to create these mechanisms, these tools to defend our democracy, to defend our republic. The border is explicitly written in our Constitution. The fact that the two-party dictatorship is not defending our border shows that they're both in default of defending our Constitution. And we will be getting into all of that with this series. But we want to start out specifically with the anti-human agenda. And this anti-human agenda has been going on for a long time. It sneaked in, whereas no one initially would notice it. But now it's so obvious to pretty much anyone paying attention that every political movement, every movie, every song, every propaganda that's out there, mass, especially with the addition of all these social media sites, is meant to divide. And what are they dividing? The human race. There's only one human race. So one can only surmise that whatever is happening to us, whatever is being done to us, is an anti-human agenda. You know, the whole race war, to me, is ridiculous because there is no separation of races within the human race. We have a spectrum of melanin within our content, and we have areas and time that divides one another, right, geographically and time-wise, but that does not change our DNA. We are only one race, the human race. So this false race war that has been created and having a two-party system that can only do one thing, divide a nation in two, that's all a two-party system can do. And we're going to make that a topic of another episode and really delve into that, because really, if you think about it, what other purpose can a two-party system do? It's explicitly meant to divide. To divide as to you pick this camp or you pick that camp. And now, with politics taking over our social media, our mainstream media, as those being the long arm, right, the proxy of the government, whichever political party is in power, and not necessarily in power at the time. As we all know, the deep state holds power. And the deep state would be the elected officials or the non-elected officials in these organizations like the CIA, all the three-letter words, FBI, all of these places, right? The KGB, MI6, Mossad, all of these places across the planet. And that's the other thing. I know there's a lot of people that believe in patriotism, and I'm right there with you. I love the flag. I love America. But guess what? I also understand that without getting rubber from another nation, you and I would never drive a car. Do you like your car? Do you want your car? Do you want the mobility of going places? Okay, then we need globalization at a certain extent so that all countries, all places upon this earth, we are only one earth, one human race. Stop the divide. I also believe in not having necessarily open borders. I believe in open borders to the extent of anyone should be able to go anywhere they want to go, as we're all just earth mutts upon this planet. But I do believe in having borders for the sake of defining which country is which and which laws pertain to which country. And when you enter into that country, whichever that country may be, you need to abide by those laws. That is the beautiful part about being us as humans. We are allowed to separate regions and to separate space and time so that those that choose to be something can go do that. And those that choose to go do something else can go do that. Even within America, there's certain states and cities where prostitution is legal and gambling is legal and other things are legal, whereas in other states and cities, they are not legal, right? Age plays a predominant factor in whether one can buy alcohol or do other things. And again, like have sex or, mutual acquaintances, and these things are all regulated by state. Same thing with abortion. This is the beautiful aspect of not just America, but the entire planet. This is why we go on vacation. If every place on the planet was the same, why would there be a need to go on vacation to experience exactly what you have here? The whole point is to go experience the beauty of somewhere different. And for anyone that's traveled, they will know that that beauty exists everywhere they go. And pretty much everywhere you go, you're going to find great, wonderful people that are accepting and loving and wanting to show you around and be very nice about it. The only time I hear adversarial things is when I listen to the mainstream media, the propaganda media, and the government trying to tell me that these other countries hate me or that we should hate other countries. And boom, there we go. That's what I keep talking about. There's an anti-human agenda. If the media that you're listening to has created in your mind a hate for an individual, then that's an anti-human agenda. Now, I don't care if you're left or right. You can pick either one because they're both doing it. If they're pushing you to hate a certain person, that's an anti-human agenda. Politics is not about people. Politics is about policies. And that is what we should be debating. But they want to obfuscate the real issues by getting you focused on the people. All the while, with the left hand, they're back there changing all the real issues and keeping you in the dark. But at the end of the day, it's an anti-human agenda because we all lose. They're going to pit a race against another race, which doesn't exist because we're all only the human race. I mean, the audacity of convincing people that the human race is multiple races. And they've got everybody buying into it. I mean, think about that. We're all caught up in this supposed race war when in reality and in true science, which is what they're all preaching, follow the science, follow the science. Okay, well, follow the science. There is only one human race. Everything else is meant to divide us because there's an anti-human agenda. Now, you can pick any media outlet, you can pick any pretty much movie, although it's more subtle in the movies, and you can talk amongst your friends. I mean, we're at the point now where it's not even hidden anymore. They are trying to divide this country, and when I say they, I specifically mean those that are pushing for a unified globalist control system. Unfortunately, I don't believe in the way they're implementing it. Globalism needs to exist. That's a fact, Jack. But it needs to be implemented through the United States Constitution, and everyone needs to apply as a new nation state and get accepted into this Constitution. That's how globalism needs to take over. That way everyone that comes on board will have the Second Amendment, will have the First Amendment, and they will still retain their national rights, their national flag, and everything else. We can do this because they are nation states. Just as Florida has its own state or flag, and Georgia has its own state flag, and everyone else has its own state flag. I mean, they're already combined in Europe as the European nation. They had no problem doing that. We need to go ahead and accept Puerto Rico as a state. We need to accept all these other, Guam and all these other territories that have been back cataloged because that was the original intent of the Founding Fathers. Imagine our Constitution on a global level. Everyone on a level playing field with a First Amendment, a Second Amendment, all of the amendments, and everyone playing a fair game in democracy by using their vote, first on a local level, then on their national level, then on an international level, right? We can do this. That's how great our Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution. Now you know why the duopoly monopoly, the two-party dictatorship, is hell-bent on destroying our Constitution. The funny thing is, if they actually succeed in destroying it, all they will do is create a martyr out of it. But I don't think they will succeed because I don't care where you go on this planet, and I've been many different places, and so have a lot of you. Everybody wants freedom. And the United States Constitution provides the most freedom to the individual out of any other doctrine legally written for a governmental purpose. Now again, everyone can keep their local level governments, but at the end of the day, imagine the power, imagine the unification of bringing together every human soul on a human agenda to unite humanity as one on a global planet basis the way it used to be. Imagine the power of that.